this computer. Okay, everybody, welcome to the webinar tonight. We're glad to have you. The title is called Why Misunderstanding Debt Interest Destroys Our Financial Freedom. And this is it's kind of a long title, but I can tell you from as a financial professional, finance major, and an MBA, there's things I didn't know about personal finance until 3 years ago. So we're betting that you're going to learn something out of this. No matter what happens, the educational benefit you're going to get out of this, you're going to walk away with something eye-opening. I can almost ensure. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker here, Brian Nates, here in a second, but I also want to introduce Kathy Heilman, who's an amazing partner of mine for a long time, and she's handling the back office for us. We are recording this, which is the #1 question we get. If you have questions during the presentation, we're going to keep rolling. Put your questions in the chat. Kathy and I will try to answer them if appropriate, but if it requires a longer answer, we will wait until the end of the presentation and take all your questions. But go ahead and put them in the Q&A. We don't want to break the flow of the presentation, though, so we're not going to stop. But just because we don't get to them doesn't mean we didn't see them. So, quick administration. So everybody can hear me, so that's good. I'm excited to be here. I can tell you that there are things about debt the banks don't want you to know. And we're going to, debt is like one of the top 2 expenses you're going to have over the course of your life, taxes being the other. And so it behooves you to understand how debt works. And most of us believe that we really don't have any control over what we pay in interest. Okay, but we're here to tell you, when we pull back the curtain, there are things you can do to wipe out the interest that you're paying without changing your lifestyle or your budget or your cash flow. It's pretty exciting. I'm thrilled to be here. I feel like we have the cure for cancer. So I'm going to tell you a real quick background on me. I was a 35-year financial controller for 3 different Fortune 500 high-tech manufacturing companies, billions of dollars of revenue. And we saved millions of dollars in cost of goods sold through cutting edge systems and processes and stuff. And it wasn't me. I had a real smart team, but I didn't know how personal finance worked. And so we had refinanced our house 3 times. And little did I know, I was only trying to get a lower payment, as most people are looking to do when they refinance, try to get more cash flow. But what I didn't understand, there was a lot of other moving parts in a mortgage. And I certainly did not understand how interest was calculated. I was completely lowballing what I was actually paying. And when I took an early retirement from my corporate job 3 years ago, now I'm looking at my mortgage from a different angle that I hadn't previously. And now I'm looking at it from, when am I going to pay this off and how much is it going to cost me? And when I realized I wasn't going to pay this off till I'm 80, it was like a gut punch. It was like a embarrassing low point in my professional career. And when I saw how much interest I was actually paying, it's not the 4.5% that I thought I was paying on the mortgage that I had refinanced. So from there, I was fortunate to find this program, Brian Nates and my other partner, Mike Brashears. This has been a godsend, and the ability to show people what this program can do has been the most professionally rewarding thing in my entire career. So I am excited to share what this program can do. I can tell you that Kathy, Brian, and I are all clients. We're just not talking about it. We're walking the walk. We're all very passionate about it, and combined, I believe we're on the path to save collectively somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 to $400,000 of interest over the course of using the program, and that's as of now. Okay, and it's just going to get better from here, and we're going to do that without changing our lifestyle or our budget. So we're very excited to share this with you. So right now, I want to, without further ado, get into the actual meat and potatoes here. I want to introduce Brian Nates, who's possibly the only guy more passionate about this program than me. He's a senior partner with the company. He has equity. He is the leading trainer He does a great job of explaining how the whole thing works, and he communicates it very effectively with passion. And so I always learn something from him every time he speaks. Um, he's really good at this. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Brian and let him take over. So
Thank
here
you.
you go, Brian.
Appreciate it. Again, hey everyone. Again, Brian Nates here. I'm going to get into it for you all. But yes, I do love this system. I am in, my background is in financial services. I help clients eliminate a lot of interest in their life and really plan for their future and their retirement. And I have really found the value of just teaching and educating, and hopefully you get a nugget from tonight. From there, if we can help further and have better discussions with you personally, that'd be great. But tonight is about you. Tonight is about teaching, showing the truth, and then showing what you can do about that truth. And I will really say that we are so conditioned by the very banking system that controls us, conditioned to think about things a certain way. So I'm going to start with saying this. When I was a kid, my father used to say something to me that I'll never forget. Skepticism is fine. Matter of fact, be skeptical. Learn as much as you can with that skepticism, but don't be closed-minded, because skepticism is fine. If you're closed-minded, well, then you're just a fool. And that is what my father used to say to me, and it stuck with me my whole life. And so tonight you're here, so obviously you're not closed-minded. So that's the first step, and I appreciate that. So with that, I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can just see. I'm going to use it as visuals to what we can talk through tonight. And why should you even pay attention to this? Mary already hit on it, but let's talk through it, okay? Why should you pay attention to what we're talking about tonight? Well, inflation's real. We know that. But debt and taxes, I mean, transparently, it is crushing us, right? All the data shows that. The US Census Bureau statistics, right? This is real. Of every dollar we're making, on average, now some of you may be here, some of you may not, but on average, in this country, 34% of every dollar we bring into the home is going to debt, the interest on our debt. Another 40% is taxes, right? So when you think about that, 74 cents of every dollar is going to two very inefficient things. Well, what if you could change that? What if you could eliminate literally almost all that interest back and have money flowing back into your economy? That's what I figured out. And I figured this out 15 years ago. And it has revolutionized and changed my life. Yes, I'm a client. Mary already said that. Matter of fact, we just bought a brand new home. I live in Indiana. So for you Penn State fans, you're playing Purdue right now, but it is what it is. But I live in Indiana. My backyard is awesome. I have a cornfield. I live on the field of dreams, basically, right? But I bring all that up because the home we bought in January of 2020, we're going to have paid off in about 3 more years, saving over $200,000 in interest because of a little tweak in our flow of money and the way that we understand how to use the bank's rules and the way interest is calculated to our advantage, not the bank. Now, you notice I said the way interest is calculated. Didn't mention any rate and payment, did I? And I want you to remember that, okay? So before we get into like the meat, one of the things I really want to hit on is the very banking system that we're all a part of. This is like the beginning of really understanding. And so let's just talk about this for a minute. We all use a bank for the most part, right? And what are the banks designed to do? They're designed to hold our money, okay? And so we literally make money, that's all of us, and we put it in the bank. And you know what? They give us the privilege of holding our money. And when we want it back, they give it back to us. What did we get for that? What did we get for allowing them to hold our money? We didn't get anything, right? Checking accounts, you don't get anything. Savings accounts, you hardly get anything. I mean, goodness, even CDs, money markets, not much. But what is the bank doing? Like real wealth, real flow of money are the banking systems. And they know that. Here's what I mean by that. So we give them all our money and we put it into our savings account, we put it into our checking account, and it sits there until we need to use it. And yet, when we go to buy a mortgage, they charge us 6%. And that money goes to the builder or the seller. And where do they put that money? Right back in the bank. See that flow? And then the next time you want to buy a car, it goes to the car dealer and the money goes right back to the bank. You want to remodel, it goes to all the contractors. Where do they put the money? Back to the bank. You got to go to college. Kids got to go to college. It goes to the university, right back to the bank. And your Visa cards, right back to the bank. Visa basically is the bank, right? So think about that. Who in this room, in this Zoom room, wouldn't want to be the bank? They're giving us nothing for the very money we're giving them, turning around and literally making money off the money we gave them, loaning it out to ourselves, back to us, and to others. And if you add all that up, 6%, 8%, 10%, 6%, 20%, right? 6%, 8%, 10%, 6%, 20%. It's actually 50%. It's pretty good profit, right? Now, somebody in this room understands something called fractional reserve banking. And if you don't, let me explain it really, really quickly. Because this is the first step of like really understanding the way interest works and the way the banks are crushing us in our life with all that interest, all that money flowing away from us, giving the wealth away instead of staying with us in our own economy. So what do I mean by that? Fractional reserve banking. Here's the rule. For every dollar you put into your checking account, savings account, deposit accounts, okay? The bank is allowed to borrow 10 times that from the Federal Reserve at like what, I don't even know, I think it's at 1.6% right now, or maybe it's 1.7, 1.5. You know, inflation is going to probably change that a little. But they are loaning us money, again, 6%, 8%, 10%, 6%, right? They're loaning us money at what they call that spread. It's not even money that's theirs. They're borrowing it to loan it to us and making a profit. Again, and why it says 500% there, for every dollar that we put in, they're allowed to do that 10 times that. That profit that they receive is ridiculous. What we're going to show you is how you can crush that interest, okay? And when you really understand how interest really works, I'm going to use a mortgage as an example. Now, I know there's debates out there, right? There's good debt, there's bad debt. Debt is debt. And interest that's killing you is still interest that's killing you. And you'll hear things like, especially with the refinance craziness that happened in the last couple of years. Now, I know it's no longer here because of the rates, right? 3%, it's free money. You know, get refinance because 2.5%, it's free money. Well, I want you to really understand the math. That I'm using a mortgage as an example. Believe me, student loans are pretty bad. Credit cards are really bad, right? Number one rule of wealth from Warren Buffett is never lose money. Number two rule of wealth is don't forget rule number one. And one of his biggest advices on flow and money and building wealth is don't pay interest on your debt. Get out of debt. So let's talk about it. This is a 3% loan. That's like free money. I said that already, right? But the very way the banks charge money, what I'm going to share with you tonight, hopefully you get it and see it, is we are so conditioned. Think about the slide before, by the very banking system that gives us the loans. Does that make sense? They have us thinking a certain way. And that way they would have us all thinking is what's my rate and what's my payment? What's my rate and what's my payment? When you go to buy a home, when you go to refinance, when you go to buy a car, when you go to get personal loans, whatever, what's my rate? What's my payment? And they have us so focused on that. You know, the best magic trick in the world is they have you so focused on something that you miss what's really going on. That's how magicians do so well. Well, the magic trick the bank plays on us is huge. So what do I mean by that? Let's look at this. The very word mortgage, Latin, mort, death. Mortician, mortuary, right? Death. And the Latin G-A-G-E, the end of mortgage, means to take a pledge. So is a mortgage a death pledge? Well, I don't know. Murray refinanced 3 times, and if he didn't figure out the truth and a way to conquer that truth, he may have been dead before he paid it off. Think about that. So many of us are in that same boat. We refinance. And the very loan schedule that the banks put us in, they just happen to call it an amortization schedule. Do you see that word mort in there again? Mort, death. Now, why is this so important? Because we are conditioned to see 3%, what a great rate, what a great loan, okay? And listen, I know we got to borrow money to buy a house for the most part, but we don't have to pay the interest that they want us to. And so let's break this down. This 3% loan, the payment, taxes and insurance are not part of this because I'm just using principal and interest, is $1,560, 30-year loan. That very first month, $925 is going to interest. $635 is going to principal. Does that sound like 3%? Now, I know someone in here is very good at math and very good at understanding numbers and say, well, no, Brian, what they do is they take the principal balance and they times it by 3% annually. Yeah, I know that. I get that. But look at the just basic math of this. It's not about the interest rate. It's about the interest volume, the money you're giving to the bank. Are you okay with 60% of it in that first month going to interest? Is that okay? So here's how it works. The banks are not lying to you. They're not lying to us. This is a 3% amortized loan, which means it has 360 payments, 30 years. And at the end of the 30th year, if you stayed in this loan for 30 years, yes, at the end of 30 years, it is 3% amortized. Okay? So if that's the case, 3% amortized, look at month 2. Doesn't get much better, does it? Month 3, month 4, month 5, month 6. In any other realm, let's just pretend for a minute I was your financial advisor, just for a second. And I said to you, hey, wait a second. I found this great opportunity. I want to take your money, let's say $9,360 for the next 6 months. I want to take it and invest in something. Oh, I forgot to tell you, my fee for my services is $55.26, but don't worry, I'm going to make sure $38.34 goes to the principal of this investment. Would we ever accept that? Like, you gotta think logically here. Would we ever accept that? No, but we do with our debt. We just accept it as, well, that's a 3% loan. But yet 60% of our payment, especially the beginning here, is going to the interest of this debt. And here's the trick. All the data, believe me, the banks are the biggest cities, the biggest buildings in every city, next to insurance companies. all the data that they have, they know the data. And they also know that every person typically, I'll say typically, not every, will stay in this very mortgage 5, 6, 7 years. So the only way you get to true 3% is if you stay in the loan 30 years. At the end of the 30th year, it was a 3% amortized loan. But if you're starting the clock over again every 5, 6, 7 years, sometimes every 2 to 3 years, whether you move or refinance, and you're starting that front loading of all that interest in the beginning over and over and over again, that's not 3%. That is so front loaded with the interest that almost all of your payment, all your life is going to interest. And that is what is crushing you. Okay. So month one, we already said it, 60%. Let's just skip down to the halfway mark. Do you think many people on this call have even gotten to year 19? No, because you've moved or refinanced before that. And the banks know that. The data shows that. You would have to get to year 19 to even hit the halfway mark on the balance. And look at much you paid, right? 185, but you paid 343. Look at all that interest. And you've probably spent so much more interest because you've moved or refinanced 5, 6, 7 years. It doesn't have to be that way. We can stop the insanity, okay? The effective rate, which I'm going to explain, is actually 34% on this loan, not 3%. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's stop this insanity together, okay? And so what I mean by that is very simple. The banks actually disclose this. We all sign the truth in lending statement, every one of us, at the closing table. And we all get the same answer. Well, it is what it is, but look at that great rate, right? Remember the magic trick. Look at that great rate, but the truth in lending disclosure, it is what it is. And what do I mean by that? This came from a real client. He could not believe what he saw after we talked through this. This is the APR, right? This is what you'll find, what's called the TIP, total interest percentage. I call it the tip for the bank. We don't need to tip the bank as much as we need to, right? We don't need to do that. You don't have to do that. So the interest rate they got sold is 2.659. This is the amount they financed. This is the total after they are going to pay it off for 30 years if they don't refinance and start the cycle all over again. Start that cycle of debt all over again. Why do that? Because look at the tip and let's read it. The total amount of interest that you will pay over the loan term as a percentage of your loan amount, 42%. If that's not enough to at least say, okay, Brian, yeah, I'm a little angry. I get it. What can we do about it? You absolutely can. The way interest is calculated is so much more important than the rate itself. Okay, so we'll talk through that. So now that you know the problem, just ask yourself something very simple. One of the reasons we're here tonight, if there really was a program that can eliminate most of the interest in your life, pay off all your debts, even a mortgage if you wanted it to, even 2 mortgages, 3 mortgages. I have clients that have 100 mortgages that will save $11 million in interest and pay them off in about 15 years. How's that for wealth? I have a real client that's going to do that. This person, and like we said, if you could pay it off in as little as 5 to 7 years, but without refinancing, without changing your lifestyle, is that something you'd want to learn more about? Most people say, heck yes, right? Tell me more. Now, some of you on this call may be in financial services, like myself and like Murray, like Kathy, right? Like you may all want to help others. So now ask yourself this question for your clients. What about your clients? What do you think they want? If clients could literally create additional discretionary income faster than they thought possible, without having to change their budget or lifestyle. I mean, wouldn't you want to show them how? If they can create more discretionary income faster, couldn't you help them to do more things? Of course you could. If they had a technology, which is part of what we're going to talk about tonight, to keep them on the track, to hit those goals like a GPS system in a car does, wouldn't you want them using that? And if it was duplicatable, all your clients could take advantage of the way interest is calculated and get them on a track to eliminate most of the interest in their life, pay off all their debts in 5 to 7 years. Wouldn't that be something you want to learn more about? Again, you probably say, heck yes. So what's the problem? What are we really missing? Well, there's ways to eliminate interest, but no one has the system. Those that know about this program do. It's complicated. There's so many different variables. Like you have your mortgage, you have your car loan, you have your student loans, you have your credit cards, you have personal loans, you have IRS debt, you have pay loans, right? All these different things. What if you had a very easy, simple way to do this? You do. It's called the Money Max account. Our clients are paying off all their debt in as little as 5 to 7 years. Okay? They're not changing their budget. They're not doing debt consolidation, not refinancing. We just have a mathematical system that is perfect. Now, a little background, just so you know, like this isn't new per se. We have about 80,000 clients, over 2.3 billion, maybe 2.4 now billion in debt has been eliminated for our clients. And that's powerful to know. Murray, this was one of the things that Murray loved when he was researching this, because of his background in finance, that the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award, the founders that created this, John Washenko and Skylar Whitman, they actually won this award for the first iteration of this whole entire system. And it was wonderful, right? There was a lot of due diligence done. Why I'm bringing this up is because there's so many publications on this now. It's called the Money Max account by United Financial Freedom. And the program just works for our clients, okay? So we have a program that allows clients to eliminate most of the interest in their life without having to affect their lifestyle at all. Sounds ridiculous, I know, sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? No catch. It's just mathematical algorithms taking over and literally showing you the path. So what do you need to do to understand this, to use this? You need a checking account, right? You need cash flow, right? You can't have no job. And we need to set up what's called an offset account. Now, for most clients, that's their savings account initially, but it also could be a line of credit because there's different ways that interest is calculated that way. It could be a cash value life insurance contract. There's different ways that interest is calculated that way, okay? But most people start with something called an offset account, which is their savings account. And again, it could be other vehicles as well. But what's so neat is almost anybody can utilize this system. As long as you're, let's say, at least breaking even every month, this could probably work for you. We have coaching, we have steps, we have guidelines. Your credit score doesn't matter, which is nice. And it eliminates all debts, mortgages, student loans, credit cards, business debts, etc. We do ask that you stay committed by spending 15 minutes a month, preferably weekly, like it says, but we'll coach you and guide you and help you. This is real. And I love making a difference and an impact. For those that are wondering, it's not a biweekly program. Again, no refinance. You're not going to have to spend more money every month, right? It's not one of those loan modifications or debt consolidations. We do not control your cash flow, okay? This is like a GPS system in a car telling you where to go, and it reacts in live real time. We actually spent about $20 million developing this whole program. We got with some engineers from GE Aeronautics, some mathematicians, some program developers, and we put a step-by-step path that's constantly recalculating your steps for you so you know exactly what to do to eliminate as much interest as you can using the rules of the accounts that you already have. I'll show you some examples. So how do we eliminate the debt? Formulas actually matters. Timing actually matters. Algorithms is what it's called. We use your checking account, your savings account, your credit cards, your lines of credit. Some of you may have cash accumulation accounts with like cash value life insurance contracts. The way interest is calculated on all your different vehicles matter. And do you get paid weekly, bi-weekly, once a month? Do you get quarterly bonuses? Do you have taxes once a year? Do you have taxes quarterly? Do you get bonuses once every 6 months? Like all this flow matters. And to a mathematical algorithm, kind of like the Matrix, Neo in the Matrix, matters because every variable matters. And if you had a system to make sure every penny was either canceling interest for you or earning interest for you, and doing both simultaneously if you wanted, that would be a home run. Just sounds too good to be true. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that same mortgage just as an example. This may not be what it does with you, and I know that, but I just want to open up your minds a little bit. Okay. We are so conditioned, and this is one of the things that the system does for clients. It sets you up on a path and gives you step-by-step instructions that's always actually changing. Remember, like a GPS in a car, when you make a wrong turn, it recalculates. What our clients are able to do is forecast and plan and really understand their debt-free date and how every step, when they want to buy a new car, when they want to buy a new house, when they want to go on vacation, etc., how it's going to affect their path, and they get to see it just like a GPS in a car. So we're going to use the GPS in this example. If I told you to pay off your 3% debt with a 10% debt, you would think I'm crazy because 10% is so much higher than 3%. But see, that's what the banks want you thinking. Now, in reality, yeah, 10% sounds worse than 3, but you don't have all the data. It's not the rate that matters. It's the volume. How the interest is actually calculated matters way more than the rate itself. So what do I mean by that? We already went over how a mortgage is front-end loaded. There is only one mathematical way to affect a mortgage in the amount of interest you're ever going to pay. And again, I'm using a mortgage as an example because a lot of people have mortgages. There's only one. Somehow, more money does need to be applied to the balance, to the principal balance of that loan faster. And if you can get more money applied faster, like if I gave you a gift of 10 grand and I said, but you got to use it towards your principal, that's the only way you'll get it. And you send it to your mortgage payment as an extra principal payment, it will crush the interest. Here's the trick. A lot of people don't even understand how an amortized loan really works. So let's talk about that with this example. This client is using the Money Max account. They make $7,000 a month, okay? They make $7,000 a month, but they spend $6,900. Sounds like a lot of people on this call probably. Just getting by, just paying their bills, have a lot of debt. It's crippling them. And gosh, they wish they could have a better way. Well, you found the better way. It's called the Money Max account. And this Money Max account system is our clients are using this, and it's saying, hey, wait a second. You have these other accounts. You have your cash flow, you have your checking account, you have your savings account, right? A lot of our clients, again, will start using a savings account as their offset account. But John and Rebecca Jones, makes $7 grand a month. They spend $6,900, and it's looking at every variable holistically on the way the interest is mathematically calculated. So it says, you know what, John and Rebecca Jones, you actually have some accounts over here. One of them is a line of credit. Another one, you know what, this other one's a cash value life insurance contract. I'm using both of them as an example. And 10% is actually really high. But a 10% line of credit or even a loan from a life insurance contract, and you don't need life insurance, I'm just using it as an example. Let's use line of credit because everybody has a credit card, right? So the way the interest is calculated on a line of credit, mathematically speaking, is completely different than the way interest is calculated on a front-end loaded mortgage. So why would that matter? Well, timing matters. So the system says, you know what, with your income that you make, your pay dates, your due dates on everything, you have your car loan, your credit cards, you have your income that comes in twice a month, you have all this stuff. And it says, you know what, wait a second. On today, let's just say September 1st, just as an example, that's today. You have this line of credit over here. Why don't you go ahead and borrow $3,199 today from this little account over here? Again, this could be a savings account that you have money in, okay? But I want you to think bigger. Why would you borrow that? Well, because at 10%, the way interest is calculated on a line of credit or on a cash value life contract, again, simple interest, is so different than the way interest is calculated on a front-loaded mortgage. And on a line of credit, it's based on something called the average daily balance. And so the interest, even though it's at 10%, for this very month, the interest is $26. So John and Rebecca Jones are following the prompts. And the reason why they said borrow $31.99 is because they want you to apply it as an extra principal payment to that mortgage. Why would we do that? Well, if you understand the way interest is calculated on a front-loaded mortgage, when you apply the principal payment, yes, the time comes off the back end of the loan. The time does. Like next month, you still have your normal mortgage payment. That doesn't change. But the interest comes off the front end of that loan with an amortized, closed-ended mortgage. That is factual. The interest comes off the front end of this loan. You literally skip those payments and the time comes off the back. So what does that mean? Well, you just canceled this month of interest, this month of interest, this month of interest, this month, and this month. You just saved $4,600 in interest. And yes, the time came off the back end of the loan. Now, did John and Rebecca Jones go into more debt for this? Some of you are thinking they did. Well, Brian, you just borrowed money. Yeah. Your total debt stayed exactly the same. It's just housed a little different, right? You got 370 over here, a zero over here. This went down by $31.99. This went up by $31.99. Your debt amount is the same, but the interest is completely different. Reach through the screen. Give me $26 of interest right now, and I'll take off 5 months of mortgage payments off your mortgage now, and $4,600 of interest canceled now. How many times you want to make that trade? Brian, but you just robbed Peter to pay Paul. Correct. Because Peter charges us less. It's not magic. It's simply mathematical. Pay attention to the math, right? So that's just one example. What our system does is looks at everything. And there's all these different types of ways. Most of our clients will start with a savings account, okay? Right there, savings account. But there's different things you can do with a line of credit or a personal line of credit, or if you have a home equity line of credit, okay? And then there's other ways that you can actually literally eliminate your debt and build wealth at the same time, literally with the same cash flow. We call it our wealth building account that we can certainly get into in more detail. That's another conversation. But our clients are really getting ahead in a very big way. So just like a GPS, it's constantly recalculating and keeping you on a mathematical path that's forever changing and using the rules of the accounts you have without affecting your lifestyle. Because remember, I just sent $31.99 of principal. Did my lifestyle change? Not at all. I just used the rules of the way interest itself was calculated to jump ahead and crush the interest on my debt. So if we have time tonight, I'll do a demo. The demo is the real value of this entire program. Like the elimination of debt is awesome. Why we have lifelong clients is because when you get to become a client, one of the things you get is this platform that I put a picture here of, and it is awesome. You can plan ahead. You can see how things in the future, because remember, it's like a GPS where it has the steps. So, when you're driving in a GPS and you want to stop and get a bite to eat along your trip, if someone wants to come visit me in Indiana, and you put in a restaurant that you wanted to always go to, and it says, "Ooh, if you put in that restaurant on the way to my destination, you added 2.5 hours to your trip," and you say, "I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe I won't go to that restaurant." What if you had something like that for your cash flow and your finances? And I can show a demo tonight, like I said, Mary, if you want me to. Each client gets a coaching session, right? That you get literally as many coaching sessions as you need. That you're a client at that point, and everybody should at least, at a minimum, schedule some time. We run a free report. Like, look at this client. This is part of the report you get. They have a mortgage debt of 377, 2 other loans of 76 grand, credit cards of 10,009. They're $500,000 in debt. They're sending almost $5,000 a month out to some bank that does nothing for them but collect interest. Instead of 27 years, they're going to be debt-free in less than 6. They're going to save $171,000 in interest. That is powerful. You should get at least an analysis run to see what we can do. Okay. So I say, learn more, see the demo, which we could do after this, Mary, if we want to, right? I have it pulled up if we want to. Get an analysis run, understand that everything we show you is actually guaranteed, but request the info to at least understand more. This is not to try to sell you on doing this tonight. This is to show you there's a better way. And the way interest is calculated could be working against you, which you don't want, or working for you. And let's all get debt-free and make a big impact in this world and make a difference for each other, right? So I think what you want to do here, Mary, you want to put that in the chat?
Yeah,
right?
Kathy, can you put that in the chat? There we go. And we'll do that again, but save that lead, the webpage that goes to off to the side so you can keep watching the screen here. But ultimately, if you want to get more information, you need to go to that site and just put in your information, and one of us will get back with you within 24 hours. We'll talk to you about it. And ideally, what you really want to do is, like Brian said, is run a free analysis of your personal situation. We input your income, your expenses, and all your debt. And the program will figure out how much we can save you in time and interest. And also determine a quote. The cost is all personalized to you, depends on your situation. But all that is done when we run a free analysis. So there's no obligation to do that. It's a no-brainer just to see what we can do for you. So again, put in your go ahead.
Did you answer all the questions in here?
No, we got some questions. We're going to do what we're going to do now. We're going to do a Q&A. We're going to try to go back and answer. There were some good questions there.
And then we want to do a short demo.
And then anybody that wants to hang on, we may go over a little bit an hour. We recognize your time is valuable, but I'm telling you, the demo is super powerful, particularly how Brian does it. And the thing I want to emphasize about what he's going to show you is it'll give you a feel for how the program actually, a look and feel to it. But one of the additional strengths of this program, it not only eliminates the debt you have now, but it gives you the ability to know the cause and effect of every financial decision you're going to make in the future. It's really an extremely popular feature with the people that own the program, including the 3 of us, that it helps you make better financial decisions. And Brian's going to run through some what-if scenarios that you're going to want to see, particularly if you want to invest in real estate, for example. So I would definitely hang on for that if you can. In the meantime, make a note of this website, and why don't we unmute people if they have questions, if we can figure out how to do that.
Well, why don't we go through the questions in the chat first? No?
Yeah, we could do that. All right. So let me, so this is a question from Leroy. I'm going to go from recent to older. The statement was made, what about the banks that allow you to pay more on principal when you pay your mortgage? So that's 2 people have asked that, Brian. Do banks allow you to pay principal ahead of time. In
Yeah,
addition to principal.
nowadays, most mortgage companies absolutely do. Most banks let you pay early. Yeah, we're not. We want you want to pay early. That's the only way you'll cancel interest out on the debt itself, right? So yeah, I don't understand the question, to be honest.
Well, I don't know any banks that don't allow you to do that. So
Me neither.
I
Yeah.
did have a prospect a couple months ago that insisted his bank wouldn't let him do it, but we read the fine print on his mortgage, and it's a timing thing. Once you pay the month that the mortgage is due, then any additional amount you give the mortgage company can be applied to principal, right? So anyway, yes.
I don't know what Leroy is saying. I have no clue.
Leroy, if that didn't answer your question, let us know.
So those banks are helping you reduce your mortgage interest up front.
Yep.
No, I don't know what that means, but okay.
Bhavesh, if I pronounced that right, we are going to see a demo. Tina.
Okay, yeah. So she asked the same question earlier. Tina, the payments come off the back end of the loan. The interest comes off the front end of the loan, meaning next month you will still have your payment due, right? But it's for, like in that example, it's actually for 5 months ahead. So the time comes off the back end. The interest comes off the front end. You literally jump ahead in the amortization schedule.
Ryan, go back to that mortgage slide. Basically, the March payment slides up 5 months. Okay, you still have to make the next payment.
Hey, Murray, this is Jerry.
Yeah, hang on. Let's just answer this question first before we get into another one. Hold that thought.
I don't have a question. I have an answer.
So that when you apply money to principal, you were in September and you applied all that money to the principal, you have to add up the principal, right? And when you add up the principal to $31.99, you literally jump from $369 down to $366. And when you look at that loan schedule, when you jump ahead, all these months of interest are gone. They are gone. You jumped ahead in the schedule. That makes sense, Tina? And Jerry, so, maybe you can say it differently.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, with since I have this program, I've had to make one of those payments. And what happens, and it all depends on your mortgage company, but the company I have shows you how many months you have left after each month. And when I made that extra principal payment, the number went from 339 down to 329.
Right.
And that's the easiest way to find out how many months if your mortgage company does that in a monthly statement.
Perfect. So two things happen here, Tina. Let me just expand on that. When you make the screen, and he's got right there, when he makes that extra $31.99, not only are you saving $4,600, but you don't see the March payment on here, right? But if you look at the principal trend, you can guess that the March principal is somewhere close to $644. If you look at every month is going up about $1 or $2, if you're with me. When you cancel out October through February, the March payment moves up to October and so forth. Everybody moves up 5 months. So not only are you canceling out the interest of $4,600, but the next payment you actually make is $644 of principal, not $637. So you start to get a little bit of a head. Even though it's a small number, it makes a big difference at the end. You're starting to pay more principal on each payment. So you get a double benefit there.
The easiest way, what I didn't explain, and this may hit home with everybody. On a loan schedule, the interest and the principal are connected. And they're connected by what is the balance of the loan that month. And so whatever the balance of the loan is where you fall. Have you guys ever looked at the loan schedule? It's 360 payments. Yeah. Wherever the loan balance is, the interest and principal payment are correlated to the loan balance. So if you jump from 369 to 366 overnight, because the loan balance came down, then all this interest you will never have to pay because it is gone, because your loan balance is now here, which means you still have your mortgage payment next month due, but it's for March, right? It's for March, not October. And so the time of the loan came off the back end, sure, but the interest came off the front end. And this is one of the most, I'll say, eye-opening things that most people don't understand. So when I say, will you trade 10% for 3%? If you know the math, you absolutely would. Hope that helps.
And Leroy agrees now. He just restated what he said. So, and let me just say something else about this. This is the most eye-opening slide of the whole thing for me. You don't need to have a line of credit, though. He's just showing one example of how the different math works on the different types of loans, and how you can leverage the favorable, or at least the way one interest is calculated, against the other. And our program does that, like with 4 million lines of code or something, so you don't have to worry about this. This is just an example of two different types of debt, and one canceling out the other by taking advantage of the math.
Yeah, Rich Owansky said, never thought of it this way. You know, Rich, yes, because we're not taught this. This is not what the banks want you understanding. But thank you for saying that, right? Because when you understand the math behind it, you think, oh my goodness, I should have been doing this a long time ago, right? And luckily our system and program just make it easy, duplicatable, simple, keeps you on path, lets you plan and forecast for your future. There's so much more financial planning, I'll say, advantages to what our system does. But I know like this educational part is so important. So you realize you have a tool and a program for the rest of your life to make those right choices and to do the right thing, so that you can get the bank out of your life as quick as possible and never have to rely on them again in the future.
Pretty cool. Well done, Brian. Just a quick comment I want to make. I think there's a few mortgage professionals on this call. Give a 2-minute discussion on how a mortgage person could benefit from sharing this with their clients. I mean, I think it's going to be obvious to them, but why don't you, Brian, why don't you give us your take?
We have tons of mortgage people all over the country that are sharing with this with their clients, mortgage professionals, financial professionals, insurance agents,
real estate.
Because it's very simple. As a mortgage, just talk to that for a minute. I used to be a mortgage broker back a long time ago, but it's very simple. If you can allow clients, they still are going to get mortgages, they're still going to buy new properties. Do you want them building equity quicker and eliminating that interest faster so that they can get the dream house they've always wanted from you, or they can buy a rental property? Or if they're building equity quicker, there's more options. And if you're the mortgage pro or the real estate pro or the financial planner or the insurance agent or whatever you're doing for a living, if you're the one that's able to share that with them and open them up to the truth, you will get it. It will become a referral machine for what you do, because you're different. As a mortgage professional, if you had a program that does this, I mean, imagine branding yourself as a realtor or a mortgage broker as like, hey, I not only help you find your dream home, but I help you pay it off in half the time as well, right? I mean, or hey, I can help you get a 30-year loan, but it's paid off in 5 to 7 years. Like, there's so much marketing you can do with that. It's that difference maker. And even all your dead files and people that can't refinance right now or whatever, you have a solution that really puts you ahead of the game and makes a difference in their life.
The two guys who formed the company ran a mortgage company.
Yep.
And they pivoted because they kept seeing people refinancing and getting further into debt. Now they are a debt elimination company, and they feel more fulfilled. But yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Any other questions before we go to the demo? So Andrew is talking about, while he's loading up the demo, Andrew Moyer did all this on his own, which you can do it on your own.
Sure.
Yeah, why don't you talk 30 seconds about that, Brian? You can do it on your own.
Of course you could pay off debt on your own, right? Like, of course, that's what's beautiful about math. It's math. You can change your oil on your own. You can do a lot of things on your own. I can use a map and figure out my way from Indiana to California on my own. And actually, it's the map that's helping me. But when I have a tool and a system, I would use a GPS that mathematically is always perfect with a perfect formula over, a GPS. I would use that over a map any day of the week. Why? Well, with a GPS, if a road goes down or something happens, or there's so many variables in life.
Traffic,
Bad bridge out, whatever. I'd rather use a tool that just recalculates my path for me and helps keep me on target and allows me to plan and forecast. But yeah, of course, you can get out of debt on your own. For most people, they won't do it. For most people, life happens. So I have a tool for my clients that when life happens, it recalculates their steps and keeps them on target. That's one of the biggest values of this program, because life does happen to a lot of people and things come up and they want to buy that new car, buy that new house, whatever. Well, if you have a tool that keeps you targeted and focused, even when those new variables in life happen, which happen all the time, that's a very big value. But yeah, I agree. You can get out of debt on your own. Spend more money on principal and get out of debt on your own. I would rather use a tool that I know is perfect.
quick comment on the cost before you go to the demo.
Sure. The cost is literally based on you. So what's so cool about that is there's all levels, right? I have enterprises that use this, literally, companies that use this for their debt and their cash flow. I also have individuals that have $10,000 of debt. The cost is based on how much total debt you have, because we actually run a full report like I showed earlier, and the cost is based on your debts, the interest savings that we actually guarantee. Okay, like this person right here, it's going to save $143,000 in interest, going to be debt free in 11.9 years, going to have a literal payoff date of May of 2034. So the cost is based on how much total debt you have, how much interest savings you're going to get, and the time savings you're going to get. It is a mathematical formula. It typically runs out to be anywhere between 1% and 4% of the interest savings itself, because it's not just based on interest savings. Someone that has 10 mortgages will pay more than someone that has just a car loan, right? So there's many variables that are built into the analysis. And when we run the analysis for you, you actually know exactly what the cost will be and exactly what the results will be. We guarantee it in writing and we sign off on that because we know it's just a mathematical equation, okay? Now, the costs can be paid for all up front, which a lot of our clients wind up doing. If you're gonna save $300,000 in interest and it costs $2-3 grand to do that, I mean, you'd be silly, right? Like, why would you not do that, okay? But for some of our clients, they don't wanna pay for it all up front. Remember, this is a lifelong system and coaching that you get. And so for some clients, if they don't want to pay for it all up front, they can do it monthly if they want to. And it's not a subscription because it is a whole coaching program and system. The platform is part of it. It is web-based and you log into it. You get free upgrades for life, free coaching as well as part of the fee that you're paying. But if you want to do it monthly, you can. It's an installment of between $60 and $120 a month until it's paid off. But when we meet with you and we run your full analysis, you'll know exactly what the cost will be and exactly what the results will be, so you can make an educated decision. Right? So hope that helps.
All right, we're going to go into the demo. This is cool. I hope you can stick for I know we're at the 9 o'clock mark.
Yeah, we are, but this is
you're gonna be glad you hung around for this. So go ahead. Brian is really good at this. It's a really eye opener.
Yeah. So if you became a client, this is part of what you get. You get a platform to utilize. It's web-based. We're actually releasing an app soon as well, but it's still mobile friendly. You can do it on your phone if you want, but we're gonna have an actual app, which is great. But here's what's neat. This is everything you will need to plan and forecast and always be on target. And this is like the engine that drives everything for you, okay? So this right here is live, and this is always changing. Your payoff date, your 11.9 years, the interest savings. And then this right here is the action plan. That is what you're seeing on the screen. Okay, now I'll go through this in more detail, but whenever you see this red and blue squiggly lines, and anyone's colorblind, it's these two lines here, okay? That is, remember on the PowerPoint that I just showed, where money was moving from one account to the other? These are specific steps in your action plan that literally allows you to understand if you follow these steps all the way throughout your life, then you will be debt-free in 11.9 years and $143,000 of interest savings for this client. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Well, there's a budget tab right here next to it, which I'll get to in a second. And this is an accounts tab. My wife calls this system, we've been using it for years, Dave Ramsey on steroids is literally what she calls it, which is funny, okay? Because you can put a whole budget together, you can itemize if you want. We actually use technology that when you use your credit card or debit card, or you make transfers from your bank accounts, the system can be connected so that it upgrades automatically, right? You use your credit card at the store, you come back to your platform, it's already there. Like that can be done if you wanted to. You don't have to, but you can connect that if you want to. So in the accounts tab, your checking account, I'm using this demo with a savings account only. Okay, no line of credit like I showed earlier, no any sort of fancy accounts or anything like that. Literally a savings account. And then you have a car loan, 25 grand. Their MasterCard, another small little loan, and a mortgage. 30 years, $200,000, right? All this debt. Now, I want you to think about this. Look at their budget. By the way, you saw that, right? 30-year mortgage and those other debts. In their budget tab, guys, they make $5,000 a month. Look at what they spend with all their debt and their other expenses. Almost all of it. So doing it on your own, gosh, that would be tough. And gosh, that would be disciplined. You know, the old eating beans and rice and ramen noodles to try to get out of debt. With this client, they still spend money. Look, food and dining, bills and utilities, everything else, because I didn't want to itemize everything. This is just a demo, right? So they're spending money, almost all of their money on debt and expenses. Yet they're going to have it paid off in 11 years, not 30. They're going to save almost $150,000 in interest. That's real. That's impactful for this client. Now watch the magic. We know it's just math, but it does feel magical. So it's really cool. Because if you use this program the right way, this will be your lifelong system to keep you on target, keep you on focus, eliminate your interest, get you out of debt, and start building wealth for yourself, okay? So you can forecast and plan with this, but to make it simple, I'm gonna go back to budget really quickly. John and Rebecca Jones, that's who we're calling this, okay? And John makes $13.14 twice a month. So this is semi-monthly. Rebecca has one paycheck of $24.17, okay? So this is very conservative, because if Rebecca made a weekly paycheck or a bi-weekly paycheck, these numbers would be even better, because the cash flow matters, timing matters, okay? To an algorithm, it absolutely matters. So check this out. They make that much money, and when you look at their action plan is like when you're driving in your GPS, and you know when you have the map view on, but then you can switch it to the street view and it shows you step by step by step by step. This street view is showing step by step by step. And all you have to do, now the auto connect thing isn't on right now, like when you use a debit card or credit card. I'm just gonna manually show you how you reconcile, and you let the system know what you're making, what you're spending, and then you follow the steps. And if you follow the steps, you're gonna crush the interest without affecting your lifestyle at all. So John got paid today, right? July 2nd, 2022. He just clicks on this. He got paid. If it was a different amount, he could change it because maybe he's commissioned, right? But he's got paid the same, right? So I'm just going to close it out and hit execute. And I'm just showing you this because, you know, as you execute things, the next step comes up. It is like a GPS system, but for your cash flow and your finances. So I'm just telling the system, yep, we did this. Yep, we did this. But these transfers, look, it says move money from checking to savings. $362.79. This is one of the steps later in the month. And then that same day, we're going to take some money from savings and send it to the MasterCard. That's an extra payment. Okay, they're using their savings account, which has some money in it right now. If you look at that, they actually have $5,200 in there. But I even told the system that I don't want to use it all. I told the system that I want to keep $45.30 as an emergency fund. So it won't even use that money. It knows that you don't want to use all your money to pay off debt. You want to have that cushion, right? So what is so neat is in the action steps, it's using it, putting money over into the, what do you call, okay, there it is, savings to MasterCard, and it's going to pay off that debt. And that's great. Be debt-free in 11 years. That's wonderful. Just follow the steps. But life happens. Things come up. Things go on, right? So let's just say for fun, John and Rebecca Jones, you know what? They're going to go on a trip, and it's in July here. So maybe in September, they want to go, and well, let's do it for Christmas. They want to go to Greece or something like that, and they're going to plan ahead. This is the most beautiful thing if you understand it. They're going to plan ahead for the future. So they add a new action, and they hit withdrawal. Okay, and they're going to Greece. So maybe it's their first Christmas trip in a long time. It's their 20-year anniversary or something, and they can even put it in a little travel bucket, right? And I'm going to say $10,000 in December of 2022. That makes sense, okay? And I'm going to say from MasterCard. See that right here? From MasterCard to Greece, right? So they're planning ahead. And before I hit save, I want to just take a look. Look at 11.9 years, right? Look at the interest savings, and let's see if that affects them that much, okay? So they're spending 10 grand that was not part of their action steps before. This is powerful, okay? Awesome. Take a look at that. Literally, they went from 11.9 to 12.8 years. I need you to see that. 11.9 to 12.8 years. Their interest savings went down by 13,000, okay? That is powerful. And if you look at their action steps, the checking to savings is there, but the MasterCard is gone, right? Like a GPS system in a car. If you turn left instead of turning right, your whole action steps change, right? Now, this is always constantly showing you the path to your destination, and understanding that in the future, you're going to look, it says MasterCard to Greece, right? That's in the future. That $10,000 trip, look at below that. It even shows you the true cost. The true cost is $44,000. Well, Brian, wait, why is that? Because you got interest due on that credit card. And John and Rebecca Jones only make $5,000 a month. They spend $4,700. It's going to take them a while to pay that credit card off. That also means there's other monies they can't use to pay off other debts too, which is why their payoff time went from 11.9 to 12.8, and their interest savings went down. That's so powerful for them to make the right choice. And they could say, well, maybe we shouldn't go to Greece. Maybe we could just go to Fort Myers in Florida or something, okay? So for now, I'm just gonna delete it because I wanna show you a few more examples, and I'm going faster now just to try to save time for you all. But now it's back to 11.9. And another common thing, and by the way, look, when I deleted it, the savings to MasterCard went back, okay? So another common thing, really simple. We all buy new cars, right? Every few years, some are every 2, some are every 7, some are every 5. But let's say John and Rebecca Jones, they're having some kids now, and you're like, you know, we need a minivan, right? And they're trying to plan it out the right way. And they say, well, when should we do this? And so they say, well, let's go to the accounts tab. And let's add a new account. And they're going to try to make the right choice based on how they listen. One of the best values of this program is you get to see the cause and the effect of every single financial decision you're ever going to have to make in the future, but before you even have to make it. And that is so much power. You know, Tony Robbins always says, knowledge isn't what's power, it's the execution of the knowledge that's the power. With this program, you get to see the knowledge, you get to understand the knowledge, and then because of the system in action, you get to execute that knowledge. So we're going to say we need a new car loan, right? And I'll just say new minivan. And I'm almost done, I promise. I'm trying to be fast for you all. But these are very important to understand, right? And just say it's Bank of America. And I'm going to put, it's a $40,000 car because it's a minivan, right? 6%. And they got you focused on rate and payment, right? Those car dealers, right? So it's 84 months. Why? Because the payment for that, you can see it right there, is $584. You were like, I do not want to spend anything over $550. And they convinced you that $584 was okay, because you know I'm right. And we're not buying it now. So you can plan for this. Let's just say, you know what? You want to buy it for Christmas for your wife. So January of 2023, the first payment's going to be due. And you want to put this in the system before you even buy anything, before you even get to the dealer. You just want to see, does this make sense to really do it, right? Does it make sense to actually do it? And you go to January 1st, right? Boom, okay. And remember, it was 11.9 years, 143,000 in savings. I can move that over real quick just to show you that, right? 11.9, 143. But this is a new expense that's part of your life now if you decide to move forward. And what happened? That payoff time for everything is 15 years. It may make sense. It may not make sense. You just added 4 years of payoff time, 3 and change of payoff time for all your debts. That's not just the car, that's everything, right? So does that make sense to do? When you're talking through that, and it says new minivan, you can talk to each other and say, well, maybe we don't buy a new one. Maybe we buy a used one, right? And you know, now the payment is $292.17. So maybe that makes more sense. You know, I don't know. Let's see. And if you use this tool the right way, for the tool that it is, this is life-changing. And this really helps you make the right choices and be on the same page if you're married or have or a couple in any way. Like, you can, if you're a business owner, talking about forecasting and planning, because this is not just for individuals, you can use this as an incredible cash flow management system, right? So now it's 13 years. So let's leave it there for now. They're going to buy the new car. They decided a used car is better for them. But John and Rebecca, this is the last thing I'll show, have always wanted to start building wealth for themselves. And one of the way they've always wanted to do it, you know, their dad was a real estate broker for years. They've seen many people build wealth with real estate and a bunch of rental properties. You know, some people don't want to get in that world, some people do, but John and Rebecca do. And I want you to see the power of what the Money Max account does. So they say, you know what? Let's start planning for rental properties. And I'm just going to put first rental. And I'll just put BOA. And it's going to be a $300,000 mortgage. Okay. And for rental, it's at least 6%. And it's 30 years, right? Rate and payment. And that's a $1,798.65. But you know what? We got escrow involved for $400. So the payment's actually $2,198.65. And they're not buying this now. They've been saving up. You know, I'm not going to go into all the, like, I know with rental properties, you have expenses, you have taxes, all of that could be planned ahead. All of that could be in there. But for just simplicity, we're going to say, you know what, we're going to get our first house. Look how you can plan ahead. And we're going to say January of 2024, we're just planning ahead. And maybe that's too long. Let's say next summer. So June, let's say July of 2023, right? Because in 2023, we may see some house reduction prices, right? So 7/1/2023 is their first mortgage payment, which means the statement's going to be sometime in June. And watch this, okay? They're putting this as part of their plan. It's a new rental property. Look at this. It is telling you, instead of time to pay off, it's switched. It's a mathematical GPS system for your cash flow. Like when a GPS system recalculates and says, oh, you just added more time to your destination because you made a bad decision, went down this road that is closed, or whatever. It shows now the time to exceed. You have 23 months from today. It knows you're buying that rental property in next summer. It knows that. And it's saying, hey, based on your cash flow, your expenses are going to exceed your available funds August 1st, 2024, 23 months from today, a year from the time you buy the house, you're going to exceed it. You only have $750 available in any of your accounts, your credit cards, your savings account. You're running out of money. You're done if you don't find a renter. Because remember, we did not put the renter in yet. So the value of the planning and the forecasting is huge. So now John and Rebecca Jones say, yeah, but we're going to have a renter. So let's just estimate, right? We're planning for the future. So let's estimate. Well, let's put rental income. And you even have a category for that if you wanted to, for your CPA or whatever. You can print out reports. It's awesome. And a $300,000 property, which means you probably put a down payment down on it. So, I mean, you're going to get I'll be conservative here, right? $2,500, and I think that's conservative, especially in 2023. Right? Like, those are just going up, But conservatively, that's what I'm going to say. And I think that's too conservative, but that's fine. And you don't find a renter till September, even more conservative, right? September of 2023, you find a renter for $2,500. Look at that. I need you to see that. 2 homes, free and clear, in 17 years. 2, paying $277,000 in interest. You're not paying, sorry, canceled. 2 homes. And just to have fun, I'll do this one very quickly. Now you start planning your future and really using this program for what it's designed to do, which is become your financial dashboard, your financial GPS. So John and Rebecca says, well, let's plan for 2 years later to have another rental. Let's just do it. And you know what, for argument, just to make it simple, it's the same price, same loan. And I'm done after this. We'll take questions. It's $2,198.65 with $400 of that going to escrow, right? And we're planning ahead. So maybe it's 2 years later, in 2025, they're going to have the summer of 2025, they're going to buy their second rental property, which that's a long time, 2 years in between, but that's okay. They're just going to plan accordingly. They're going to do this. And again, they hit save. And again, is to say, well, if you do that, you better find a renter by 2027, right? Which is fine, because they're going to, okay? Maybe this is an Airbnb, right? Like, people do that. So let's do that. Let's put rental income. Since it's an Airbnb, maybe it's a little more now, right? Because they have it in Destin, Florida, which is one of the best Airbnb places in the world, right? And I'll just put Airbnb rental. And I mean, at that point, they're you guys may not know what Destin, Florida is, but they're getting at least $3,000 a month. No joke, it's even more probably. So I'm being very, very conservative with this. And it starts in 2025 is when I said, right? So September 1st, 2025. Look at this. 3 homes, you added 2 months. You added 2 months. 3 homes, free and clear, in 17 years, saving almost $500,000 in interest. And their action plan knows every single step. What it does brilliantly is it's all connected. It's all mathematically connected to one huge chain of 41 million lines of code, I think it is, mathematically perfect. And all you have to do is let it know what you're spending, what you're making, the debts you have. When life happens, you let it know. When you get a new job, you let it know. And you have that perfect algorithm, that GPS system showing you the steps, showing you the path, and keeping you on track. I will never use a map again because I have a GPS right on my phone. Why in the world would I not use technology to make things better for my finances too, and coaching and support that you get?
Well
That's it.
done.
Yeah.
Well done. Plus 2 cars. It wasn't just
plus
3
two cars,
houses,
right.
2
Yeah.
cars, right? He added the van in there. So pretty, and just think their salary before they invested is $60,000 a year combined.
Yep.
And yet three homes free and clear. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. All right.
Franz says, why not pay the MasterCard directly from the checking? Of course you can, but remember, maybe you missed that. I set the system up as your savings account being what's called the offset account. So that's why it's transferring money into the savings and then moving money to the MasterCard. But of course, you can pay it from the checking as well. Yes.
Do I get access to the demo as part of the program costs?
No, you get the system.
The system.
This
so
is
what?
it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll give you a video of the demo. Okay.
I'm saying as part of the program costs. Yeah, sure. I mean, yes, this is yours. This is part of the program. Like so maybe you're thinking like the agents are the ones helping you use. No. This is your system with your numbers and you use it just like a GPS in the car. Like you get the GPS, right? You use it. So part of the program cost is your own system that is a client-facing system. It's not just like us at home office showing you the steps all the time. It is your live breathing system that is yours to use for the rest of your life.
Cloud-based.
Cloud-based, yes.
Yeah, for life. That's a good point. It's not just the debt you have now.
That's right.
You're gonna have more debt. Can you talk a little bit about the guarantee? I had a question on that. Like, how can you guarantee this?
Sure, it is guaranteed. There's 2 ways we guarantee it. One, when we run your analysis, there's a static guarantee because it's based on the numbers that you give us. So we're going to print out that report. I could even show you it again on my computer. Don't mind my daughter and I and stuff. But here's a sample report, and this is what yours will look like. And the guarantee is based on the math. We know that if you have this debt at this interest rate, these loans, this income, it's based on the numbers that we're collecting. It's not like maybe it will be this. Like we need to know when we run your analysis, we're going to need to know what's your debt, what's your interest rate, what's your monthly payment, your car loan, what is it, your credit cards, what's your interest rate, your minimum payment. Like we're going to collect that data. And then we spit this report out to you, after running it through our system. And these will be the guaranteed results based on your income, your expenses, and your debts. Now, that's the first part of the guarantee. The second part is we actually give you a guarantee for life. I know it's what, right? We give you a guarantee for life because we know that to the system, it's a mathematical algorithm. And so if your life changes, as long as you're using the guarantee for life states, I'll be very transparent, that you have to activate the system, of course, and actually log in and use the system at least once every 60 days. It is updated. Okay. Now they don't really stick you to that because if you don't use it for a while and then you want to get back going again, as long as you update everything and everything's accurate, the actual results that you're going to see in your system, right? Like what you see here is all mathematical. So if you're following the steps of the system, why we can guarantee the results for life is because as your life changes, your results will change, right? As your income changes, expenses change. As long as you're inputting it into the system and following the prompts of what it's telling you to do, we guarantee these results, which are always changing, right? So we know if you stick with the plan, these results will happen. Does that make sense? And so that's why we can guarantee it, money back guarantee in full, because we know that the math is the math. If you have a balance of $100 and you gave it a $5 principal payment, your balance is now $95. That is mathematical perfection. And we know
there's only one instance where we wouldn't guarantee it. is if you don't use it.
Right. Right.
If you don't use the program, we can't, the guarantee is void.
Yeah.
And
So in the guarantee wording, it says they want you activating it, of course, and using it, at least logging in once every 60 days. But they really don't hold you to that, the 60 days part. We want you using the program. If you're using the program the right way, you're probably logging in at least once a week and updating it 10, 15 minutes a week. At a minimum, I ask my clients to update it monthly, pick a Saturday, spend 15, 20 minutes, reconcile, meaning pull up your checking account, reconcile it, make sure it's accurate, make sure everything's what it's supposed to be, and then follow the prompts of what it's telling you to do. Yeah, no worries, Rich. Awesome.
so that was a good question, Rich. That's the best definition I've heard of that, Brian. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And, they can tell if you've been logging on. And so I think at the beginning, you want to plan on once a week until you get the hang of it, because you don't want to miss anything, and he's just touched the tip of the iceberg. This thing can do a lot more, but due to the sake of time.
Yeah, we're now at an hour and a half.
Yeah, but we still have quite a few people here. So we thank you for hanging in there.
If you want to stop recording.
Yeah.
And then I don't mind sticking on for a few more minutes if people want.
Okay. I'm going to put the link again in the chat. Make sure you have the link at least, and just sign up for a free
guys, can I
analysis.
encourage you to remember what I said in the beginning of the call? I don't mean to cut you off, Murray. I'm sorry. That was wrong.
No, go ahead.
Being skeptical is fine, but learn more. I said this earlier, I'll say it again. My father taught me, very good. Good night. Very good. Thanks for saying that. But being skeptical is great. Be skeptical, learn more, understand more. But if you're just closed-minded and don't want to understand more, that's just being silly. My dad would say to me, being skeptical is fine. Being closed-minded, well, you're just a fool. And that is something that stuck with me since I was a kid. And it's really helped me because, when things sound too good to be true, like what's the catch? And, we get taught that. And then when some things are too good to be true, but some things are real. And if you just take a little deeper step in and understand more, it could change your whole world. If you were debt-free in a third of the time without having to change your lifestyle, that's a big deal. So
I got another question, but you want me to kill the recording? I think we probably could.
Yeah, you could. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah. All right. But